about that. Zuckerberg was up on the hill again. That's always fun to see a bunch of old congresswomen and congressmen try to understand tech. So there you go. Let's go to the Wired article. Let's see. The Senate Section 230 discourse somehow keeps getting dumber.
Yeah. Remember last time
That's
when
great.
they brought him there? And
Yeah, and he was there having to
asking,
explain Facebook.
well, they were asking, like, they were all asking some variation of, why am I shadow banned? Like,
Right.
why am I not getting the amount of likes that I think I
Yeah.
deserve, right? It's all
So,
like,
let's back up. Okay, so do you want to explain what the Section 230 thing that they're having this whole deal over?
yeah, it basically, it provides, like, website, like, web publications, you know, like, they get them so they're not legally liable for content, like user content created on their site.
Right.
So like comments, like you should do an article on, like, NewYorkTimes.com in the comments section, right? At 230 is what allows them to put that there. Otherwise, they would be responsible
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like libel and slander laws for
Yes.
all of the
For
comments on
right.
there.
For
So
acting
like
as a
if you
publisher
said,
of that kind of content, right?
yeah, for instance, like you would be, they would be liable for saying that Trump was like an agent of a foreign government. That's like per se, even against a public figure, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, look what it says here. According to the last tech CEO's public flogging a mere 3 weeks ago, while nominally about Section 230, was really more like a public venting section in which senators aired their grievances against social media and tried to work the refs ahead of the election.
mm,
So okay, so this hearing was titled "Breaking the News: Censorship Suppression in the 2020 Election." Was more of the same, and it was scheduled after Facebook and Twitter each took steps last month to limit or block. Oh, this was about the Hunter Biden story.
uh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. So, yeah, because I mean, I remember from what happened, there was like a universal ban on that article where
Hmm.
Twitter didn't let you link it, Twitter didn't let you DM it. Facebook did similar measures in order for that story not to spread around on their platform. And then it made that story worse than what it actually ended up being because
How fucked up is that though? That they can just take it. I mean, they weren't allowed to like delete it though, right? Like, it's not like it
what do you mean delete it though?
like they weren't able to like keep it from coming out. You know what I'm
Well, no,
saying?
they're
Like
not
they
going to
had
be.
to react to it.
Nobody can
But
do
like,
that.
think about how they could do that in the future, though, right? They could just, like the CIA, like the intelligence agencies, the
Uh huh.
NSA, more likely, um, they have you know what I'm saying? They have every communication that's sent in the country, right? They
Right.
have all the servers, so like they know when something's being published, right? It would be possible for them to just grab it before it even, like, the second they hit send at New York Post and just completely erase it from the knowledge stream, right? Like they could, you know, like cover up atrocities, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
I feel like they would pull the trigger too, because we also saw that they weren't letting the Bolivia stuff go.
Right.
Remember, like they weren't letting
Right. And then
articles
they
about
were
Bolivia
censoring stuff from
trend.
Jacobin too. Remember that was that
Yeah,
whole flare up between Jimmy Dore and Anna Kasparian.
it was fun. It's it's sick, man. Like, I don't know. Like, we need to do something with tech CEOs. It's just like there's one of those. There's
So
so
here we
much shit
go.
going on,
So
right?
Senator Ted Cruz badgered Dorsey about Twitter's decision to add labels, pushing back against claims of voter fraud. You're a publisher when you're doing that, he barked. You're entitled to take a policy position, but you don't get to pretend you're not a publisher and get special benefit under Section 230 as a result. So yeah, that was one of the things that
They don't really
the
get special benefit
no,
though.
but
Like,
they're complaining because the Twitter is putting those little annotations that this claim has been disputed, or I mean it's the same thing that they're doing on YouTube now, where they're putting like, oh, the election results are so and so, or if you look up a conspiracy theory, they link you to a bunch of scientific articles saying why it's not true, and all that kind of shit. I mean,
I mean,
they're
I
complaining
haven't seen
about that.
them.
I mean, they're complaining about that sort of thing, but I
Well, it's
mean,
like I said with Trump. It's like the whole thing that they were full of shit, so then he could take it to the next level and be
right.
really full of shit and
Yeah,
still claim it's fake news.
right, and
And
then they that whole when he tweeted out, "I won the election," and you see underneath Twitter put that little annotation like this claim has been or the election has been decided differently by by official sources. Like, I mean that's really what their problem is, that they can't bullshit without some kind of dissenting voice on their tweet.
well,
But I mean that's one other thing. But so Cruz is
I actually,
simply
you know what? I'm changing my mind on that. Like, I'm okay. I've been pretty hardcore against it, like
uh huh
the censoring and all. But like,
because
I'm not. I'm
there's a
actually not
difference.
opposed. If it's a
Uh
situation like this where it's like there's concrete yes or no things, right? Like
right.
I hate to say this because it could be such a gray area,
Uh huh.
but like I'm okay with them correcting the record, so to speak,
Yeah, I mean
as
it kind of makes
to
sense in
stuff like
certain
this.
instances as far as
I'm
okay,
just
yeah,
yeah.
that's not actually how things went down, but
I'm just
uh,
so sick of them being able to get the bullshit with impunity.
well,
You know, like I wish they would do it to the Democrats too.
well,
Like,
they I mean,
you
they
know,
damn well should, but let's look what they said about Cruz here. So Cruz is simply mischaracterizing how Section 230 works. The law protects any interactive website from being sued over content posted by users, whether it's a Facebook post, comments at the bottom of a Washington Post article. It doesn't matter whether the company is a publisher or not. The reason Twitter can get away with labeling a tweet false is not Section 230. It's the fact that even absent the law, such an action would not raise any sort of legal liability. If it did, it would be impossible to run any kind of news organization. The essence of publishing is deciding what's true and what's false, what is and what isn't fit to print. These judgments would be impossible if they routinely put any publishers in legal jeopardy. This is why the First Amendment makes it very hard for public figures to sue for defamation, even without Section 230. So lawmakers will have very little recourse when it comes to mean tweets.
yeah.
Yeah. And there we go. This is the part that probably makes it stand out more. Was today's hearing did little to dispel the notion that Congress is hopelessly behind the curve when it comes to regulating the tech sector. That's a shame because we've seen that this doesn't have to be the case. The House of Representatives has long played second fiddle to the Senate, but the recently concluded investigation by the House Antitrust Subcommittee was a model of informed policymaking that put Section 230 kangaroo courts to shame. The key difference was the House committee spent a lot of time and energy investigating Silicon Valley and managed to arrive at a shared bipartisan understanding of what problems are posed by the biggest firms, even if Democrats and Republicans disagree as to the right remedies. In the Senate, by contrast, the two parties are operating in alternate universes where Republicans complaining about social media censorness, while Democrats urge them to prohibit even more content. Unfortunately, the dynamic that Donald Trump's election defeat doesn't seem to have dislodged. So I mean, the idea here is that they just don't know enough about what they're trying to attempt to regulate,
Sounds like
and
the Senate knows what they're doing.
yeah, well the Senate, I mean the House of Representatives, you mean?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
whatever one of them.
Yeah, so I
I
mean the
mean,
Senate, that's the problem with them. They don't know enough about what they're regulating, and then you have Republicans on one side saying that you can't limit our bullshit, and the Democrats are saying limit their bullshit more, and just don't touch mine, ignore mine. I guess is
well,
there.
theirs is the state sanctioned
Mm,
bullshit. You know, like this is the official, the New York Times line, so to speak. You know,
yeah,
like
this is
that's CIA mouthpiece.
yeah. Look at this part. This is funny. So Lindsey Graham, the dude again. Let's see, gave some sense of what that looks like on a Senate level when he punctuated his round of questioning by asking Dorsey and Zuckerberg if they've seen the Netflix documentary The Social Dilemma. As my colleague Ariel Pardes recently observed, that film advances critiques of social media platforms that feel stale in 2020 while offering little in the way of solutions. In that sense, Graham could have hardly picked a better reference.
What? Who said that?
Graham was asking if they had seen
Who's
this
that quote
documentary.
from?
That's from
That's
the
Lindsey
article.
Graham's quote.
No, the Lindsey Graham was just asking if they seen the movie on Netflix, The Social Dilemma. See, so this is from the author, my colleague Ariel Ardesi. No.
Lindsey Graham gave some sense of what that looks like on its when he punctuated his round of questioning by asking, so that's all he knows? That's all he asked? He just asked if they'd seen it?
That was the way he punctuated his questioning, was by asking if they seen that documentary.
What? And that was him trying to be like hip?
Yeah, I mean, I guess
in the know?
Yeah, and then it just comes off as horribly out of touch and out of date, and not with where he needs to be.
Yeah, I mean that's probably what his best bet is, though, right? Like they want to slow play this. Probably they don't want any kind of ruling on it. They don't want any kind of you know like clarification, and they don't want it to leave committee, basically, right?
Right.
So it behooves them to just play dumb. But I mean, don't get me wrong, I think they're still dumb,
Yeah.
But I think they're playing it up just because it's more strategic to keep it stalled out there. Because even if the House does something, it makes a determination. They don't have to act until, whenever, right?
Yeah. Let's see.
I mean, what are they going to do? They're just so not up to the task.
Well, I mean,
You know what I mean?
there's definitely an argument for adding regulations to big tech. I'm not saying that there isn't, but I don't know. Like, they spend so much time on there using those platforms to try and reach people and try to go and spread their misinformation a lot of the times, that I mean, they don't bother to really learn about the intricacies of what they're using, I guess.
It's so...
And it comes off as a sort of situation where you're trying to teach your parents how to use an iPhone.
But it's so nuts. Like, there's no due process.
Right.
Like, it's
I mean, the answer for a lot of this stuff, I mean, I feel like a lot of the answers around how to regulate big tech is you need these things to be public utilities.
Yeah.
So...
Or at the very, they don't even need, like, yeah, that would help. Obviously, that should be the case. Like, it should be regulated as such. But, like, they can at least invent a new standard that's, basically, like, gives them that credit. Gives them that level of accountability, that level of review.
And
put something.
The disconnect comes when you try to fit these tech companies or these social media platforms into these antiquated boxes from shit that they know, or from laws that have been on the books.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
There's not up to
section 230 is from 1996, and as much as maybe people don't want to think about it, but I mean, how long ago was 1996? 24 years ago, more. By next year,
that CISG document. I forget what it's called. There's like a legal document they've started putting together, like like they have, like restatements. It's kind of like a restatement of tech law.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they've dealt with this stuff, but it's like, we're having these courts. There's no court that's really, like, unless the Supreme Court does it, but, like, there's not really anybody that's qualified. There needs to be some, like, there needs to be, like, a decision-making process. They need to, like, sit down and figure it out and do it at an official level. And it's just like I said, they're not qualified to do it, and then like there's not in any hurry to do it. So like just going to continue on like this with like Facebook executives and like Jack Dorsey deciding to like censor the president. It's so fucking crazy. It's not a court. It's not some official review. It's just basically like a tech bro being like, oh man, I don't know, bro, like.
Well, I mean, there's terms of service that they apply, and they don't apply them equally to public figures.
So I'm saying it's so willy-nilly. There's no review. There's no due process. There's nothing. There's not even like you submit this document and we review it. It's not even any kind of official
and then forget
thing.
about like a review process from users if they censor something, or a lot of times there's these weird stretches or just not even stretches, like there's inequities in how they apply stuff like copyright. So like you and I, like we'll use a clip or something, and we'll talk
Mm,
over it, we'll remix it or something like that, and then we'll
yeah.
get flagged for a copyright. When I mean
Mm,
it's not anything compared to what the original incarnation of the source material is. You know, it's completely repurposed, and then
mm.
apparently that's supposed to be under fair use if you use it in certain ways.
Yeah, I mean, when
You
I
know,
went to law school, that was fair use. I don't know
right?
why that would be
And
differently
you know,
now. It's like I'm saying, the tech companies are implying their own standard,
right,
and there's no
and then
official
you know, and
precedent
then
for
and
it.
then you know that affects a lot of people that try to make a living off of going onto these social media platforms because they're immediately demonetized. And
That's what I'm saying. Like,
news moves so fast. You know, once something gets demonetized, nobody's gonna go ahead and look for it again. You're not gonna retroactively get credit for those views and those clicks that you
and
had
there's
for that
no,
duration. For that duration,
well, yeah, and then there's no way to, it, there's no labor rights, like
right?
there's no sort of ability to organize and even,
As far as online communities, imagine you had like some kind of union of
so I
YouTubers
think
and
there
Twitch
needs to be a
streamers.
posters union. Yeah, man.
Yeah, a posters
Post,
union to for people to go ahead and demand changes from all these people that are just willy nilly, like you said, applying whatever terms of service they think fits, and forget about issues like among posters that just go ahead and just re-upload exact videos, without adding any context to it. They're just kind of stealing material from it. You
who
know,
does that?
I mean, you see that a lot of times. Like you see one video of maybe like one, of maybe like somebody doing an impression or somebody like random YouTube shit, and then it just gets re-uploaded to a different channel.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I mean that shit goes on all the time. Where's the projection? Where's the protections for
that's what I'm saying.
small
There's,
YouTubers or all those
yeah,
kinds of YouTubers that do that kind of shit?
but then they can just change like the payout and stuff, like the ad revenues and all, and there's
Yeah,
no.
they can, and for larger channels, they'll do that. They'll tell you like if you like we've gotten hit with this thing where you use a clip from Now This, right?
Mm,
If we put that on there, even if we're talking over it, even if we're adding our own commentary, they'll say, this video has been repurposed to be monetized to this channel because you use this clip and all that other kind of shit. So it's, you know we have we every time we put up a video, we have our picture in picture on there, right? So it's
mm,
not the same thing. You've altered it in some way. You're using that video as a basis to form your own commentary.
yeah,
It's
that it.
independent work at that point.
Yeah, and
You
there
know,
would
but
it there would be like a court case to be able to prove that too. But like,
yeah,
there's nobody qualified to do it, and there's
right.
nobody that's looking forward to putting that center